Okay, I'm good. I'm rolling. Just start with your name and then spell it for me, please.
I'm Bill Taylor, Taylor.
And then what would be your title?
I'm a University Distinguished Professor in Fisheries and Wildlife.
And then you can just look at Vicki
Okay.
when you answer.
All right, so we're going to go all the way back to you and John brainstorming and coming up with the idea for the Natural Resource Leadership Project.
Okay.
So you were at Fisheries and Wildlife, and I think he was probably Director of Fisheries at DNR at the time.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to create that?
Well, over time, our relationship had gotten stronger and stronger with our natural resource agencies and our students. And we were finding that we had very technically trained students coming out. As they got employed, they were exceptionally well trained in the technical areas, but the areas of leadership were not gotten in a more formal sense. So we said, why not develop things that allows for leadership skills to be developed and for them to then have a greater impact in there. And so John and I were around thinking about what would that look like and how would the impact be, and the idea was to move that technically trained person into also a leadership and followership specialist that could go with their skill sets, so that the agencies would then have a much better individual working for them, and the department would have much more effectiveness and efficiency.
Okay, so how did you imagine that the participants would lead differently because of their experience?
We felt that knowing about themselves better and knowing about their own strengths, as well as understanding it's okay to have weaknesses, but then knowing other people that they have the same, they have strengths and weaknesses, and accepting for it, working on teams, because we would talk a lot about teamwork, but we would rarely put them into real situations where teamwork was required to have a project actually come to completion. So we thought having an exposure to the different leadership skill sets and an understanding of their own, as well as the ability to understand their colleagues, would be much more effective and reduce conflict, increase collaboration, and come up with better solutions.
Okay, so how did you envision that experience in a leadership program like that would actually impact the natural resources of Michigan?
Well, when we started this, we started focusing on fisheries and wildlife and then expanded to more natural resources because we have a systems approach. And we knew that in order to affect Michigan, which has a wonderful water and fishery resource, as well as wildlife and forestry, that really they were all linked together. And if we really wanted to have each other learn and have holistic solutions, we needed to have our students and our employees be better trained and better exposed to understanding why different disciplines do things differently, and how they could then get together, merging those skill sets, appreciating what those different value systems are, and allow for a better solution to come forward and a more sustainable outcome, which would give a greater economy, greater sustainability, and greater enjoyment to the Michigan public.
So, Bill, over 300 people have graduated from the program that you and John created almost 15 years ago. How do you see that impacting what you're trying to accomplish here at MSU?
I think it goes hand in hand with our building the program with our partnership for ecosystem research and management with the Department of Natural Resources and the Great Lakes Fishery Commission, and that what happened is we got greater and greater expertise and many disciplines coming together. It made our view of how do we become more relevant with all these expertise to the public and to the management agencies. So for instance, the department instituted that every graduate degree would have an outreach component that would actually work with the public or the agency, so that their information would not just be more sterile academic type research, but actually put into practice. So we actually moved forward on that. And then that was then also bringing in the leadership part, where they had to go out and make connections, see where the information needs were, how they would deliver that in a way in which it could be understandable by different segments of society. So as they became more deeper and broader as a department, more connected to the university with the different colleges that we partnered up with, and more connected to the management agencies in Michigan and then beyond, it was very clear to me that we needed, and John, that we needed to have a format in which we could get our students that we had already chosen what we think are the best of the best, and be able to give them the tools to actually show that they were the best of the best. We believe Spartans ought to be leading, and this was one format which we gave them more tools in their toolbox to be able to lead for the future.
Okay, I have one more question. So you and several of your colleagues actually kind of handpick students to go through this program.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking for in that student, and what do you think makes that student different after they've been through JLLA?
I look for people that care about others, that care about doing an excellent job, that are committed to having a sustainable resource management in the future, and have never had a chance really to experience leadership training of any form. Because I believe that I learned a lot of my leadership through the professional societies rather than in formal classes. Mm-hmm. And that was trial and error. I did have the opportunities to have a more formal workshops through the professional society. But really, I knew that it was needed. Some people would gravitate to it, other people would not. But I thought it was important to have a view of how you do it in an academic institution, bringing people together in a land-grant institution like Michigan State that has extension, teaching and research, and show to them that it's not just a matter of getting information. It's a matter of getting that information out to people that can use it and they trust your information. So we would pick these people and looking for diversity of intellect, looking for different areas of work that they do. And originally we moved it beyond just Michigan, but to the nation, to try to bring in different perspectives from different parts of the country, because we knew not everybody thought like we do in Michigan because they have different challenges. And that was one of the advantages, and then bringing the mentoring model into that leadership class where they can then have a network of mentors throughout their life was really an important piece. So eventually almost all my students have been through the Great Lakes Leadership Academy Emerging Leaders Program. I had a student the other day that was the only one that got through it, did not get into the class during the time I was here, not because she didn't apply, but she was out in the field working on Lake Erie fish. And I told her, whatever, she's going down now to work for Florida. I said, make sure you take a leadership course. That's how important I think it is.
Do you have any questions, Craig? Anything else you think we should?
I just think that the program's been a great addition, and that I'm very proud of working with John and developing an impactful program that we hope does change the future and the people's careers that we've touched on that. So I expect great things from the Spartans that have been involved in the program, and those that have been touched by the Spartans through your leadership, Vicki, in this program. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.